I have a generator, but there's no hour meter on it, and I want to put an hour meter on it. So I bought one, and I'm testing it out right now. The hour meter runs in tenths, so in about a minute or so, it should be about 6 minutes, so it should register a tenth. Let's see. Well, the hour meter works, so now I just need to get the confidence to cut a hole in that nice faceplate of the Troy Bilt generator. We'll see, I need to cut a square hole. I think now I'll use a die grinder. Well, here we go. We're going to start cutting into it. If you try this at home, you should use a die grinder with the appropriate guard on it. You can see the sparks are flying, but they are flying away from me, at least on this cut, so no worries here. My concern was I would overcut the line that's on the template on that decal. So I'm taking it very slow. I'm trying to hold it very steady, trying to hold it very level, because that is one of my concerns when I get this hour meter in. I don't want it to be crooked, because then I'd have to look at a crooked hour meter. So I was going to use the level, but who's to say the generator is on a level surface or sits level on the wheels. So I just lined it up with the decal, the Troy Bilt decal above, and basically eyeballed it. My big concern though was cutting into this thing, because it's a one-time shot, because as I touched that die grinder there, it could catch and roll down, and then it'd scratch that nice red paint, and I did not want that to happen. Now this die grinder, with the diameter of the wheel, I wasn't able to cut all the way through on those two shortcuts, so I was kind of concerned that I wouldn't be able to get a hacksaw in those two shortcuts to finish cutting. But as you'll see in a little bit, the hacksaw did just poke right through, so I must have got it so it was razor thin. What are your methods of cutting a square hole? I thought about going to a machine shop, but I figured they would charge me 50 bucks or something, and this actually is turning out to be working pretty well. My hacksaw I'm using, it's a pretty dull, pretty old, rusty, but it's what I had in my toolbox, so I was using it. And you can see it's the hacksaw that just has the open end. It's not the one that's on the enclosed end, but you can see I just had to cut the remaining sides, and hopefully soon you'll see a hole. By the way, I'm using a Rode microphone for this voiceover. I typically don't do voiceovers, but I'm trying to learn as I go, and you get to be my guinea pigs. It was either this or play some YouTube music over the process. In a little bit you'll see my cat start walking by, but look at here. Here's the moment of truth. It's hanging on by a corner or two, a little bit of wiggling, and there you go. The piece is out. Now it did leave me with a lot of burrs on the inside, so I did my best to file it. I didn't spend a lot of time filing it because it was all going to be covered from the hour meter. But one thing I wanted to do was paint it so that cut would not rust. And I had some red paint, but rather than masking everything and trying to paint it and then risk overspraying, I decided not to use red paint, and I used some silicone instead. You'll see that here in a bit. So that test I did, I just temporarily hooked that wire up to the side, but yeah, it fits in there quite well. Now to take off that decal. The decal really worked well. It came with the hour meter. It's a must to have because you don't want to make that rectangle any bigger than it needs to be. There's Sammy. We call him Sammy Jackson. How's that tail look? It's kind of in the way, so a little nudge to get him out of there. I eventually had to pick him up and contain him. Yeah, here's that little silicone. I just put that on the edges, the bare edges of the metal. I figured that would keep it from rusting. Hey, when you're doing your projects, do you have a pet that helps you? What kind of pet? What's its name? Guessing it's a cat. Cats like to get in there. Dogs, you know, they'll sit, maintain their distance, but man, this cat, he just wants attention. Yeah, so this hour meter just plugs in. There's a couple pressure things on the top and bottom. And here it goes. And look at that. Looks pretty good, but it is actually a little bit loose in there, which was kind of a bummer. So I ended up taking it back out and putting some silicone around the entire perimeter of that hour meter, so it would kind of fill in the gap a little bit and also create a nice seal. Yeah, there are 4 corners on that hour meter that I had to press at the same time. I kind of did 2 at once and 1 on the other, and then I put silicone on it. There goes Sammy again. Tried to push it in without getting that silicone everywhere, but you know how it is. You're going to get it on your fingers, so you might as well commit. Yeah, Sammy bumped my tripod there. You can see the camera was moving a little bit. Now this is where the wire actually coiled around the spark plug wire. And all that does is the voltage that goes through that spark plug wire induces a current in that coil, in that red wire. And I just put a zip tie. I was trying to get in there. I just put a zip tie. It's not the prettiest thing. I'm not too proud of the way it looks there, but the directions said you need to wrap it at least 5 times. I think I went 6 or 7. And then I put this zip tie on, got it as tight as I could, just with my hand. And then I cut off that loose piece of red wire down there, and I also trimmed off the zip tie. Now my routing, again, I'm not the proudest of routing, but it went up to the base of the fuel tank, used Gorilla Tape to hold it in place, and brought it over to the hour meter. Here I probably could have gave myself a little bit more slack. You always want to measure twice, cut once, but I just measured once, cut once, and it's kind of tighter than I wanted it to be. But the hour meter did come with a couple wire clips that actually clip onto the back of the hour meter. So I stripped the wire, and it came with that nice little plastic thing. Make sure you put that on first before you crimp that end on. It's a tip of the trade. I've done things in the past where you wire up an outlet and you forget to put the wire through the hole, or wire a new plug on an extension cord and you forget to put the casing on before you do the plug. So it happens to the best of us. But here we got this little clip. It's not a crimp type, it just has a couple tabs to bend over. So I used just a pair of needle nose. There's actually two sets of tabs. I got the first one on, that worked pretty well. This is pretty easy, going for the second one there. And this is about it. It's about the completion of this hour meter install on my Troy Bilt generator. So, you know, I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to this video and all videos, because I'm really trying to put some content out there. But oh, did you see that when I put that on, it pushed it out? So I had to push that back in to keep that silicone there, and then good to go.